Okay, perfect. Again, this is that new system I'm still working with over in the bedroom here, and I think I've got it this time, but we shall see. And it's hard because I'm working on a really small screen because it's on my makeup stand. But I've got a few clips for you guys today that we didn't get to do last time. And I'm just going to stick my hair up because I'm getting ready also for an interview. So that's why I'm doing a Get Ready With Me. I'm on Fight for Liberty in under an hour. So whatever I can get done, I can get done. I'm glad I finally got this system set up. So let's get right into it. I probably shouldn't take my glasses off yet. That is a bit too optimistic probably because I need to make sure I have everything set up. So let's see. I've got a bunch of Ben Shapiro clips, a little bit of Dave Smith, some Jimmy Snow. So I'm looking at my screen here and it looks like we might not, the next scene might not be correct, but let's see, okay? Now let's try.
Murray had until recently been hopeful that the discovery of several effective vaccines could help countries achieve herd immunity or nearly eliminate transmission through a combination of inoculation and previous infection. But in the last month, data from a vaccine trial in South Africa showed not only that a rapidly spreading COVID variant could dampen the effect of the vaccine, it could also evade natural immunity in people who had previously been infected. Well, if that is the case, then you literally can't do anything. You've now talked about a disease that you cannot create immunity to, right? It just comes back around. It's like a common cold. It just comes back around. And the vaccine ain't going to work on it. So what exactly are you supposed to do? Lock yourself in your house for the rest of time?
Okay. Now we are going on to Jimmy Snow. Now, if you don't, I don't even remember what I have queued up for Jimmy Snow. I don't think it's about the virus. Oh, I remember now. See, look at that. Look. It's just coming off. It's not blending. Oh my God. Okay, so Jimmy Snow is a leftist. He fancies himself to be a political commentator and much smarter than he actually is. And has gotten pretty obnoxious lately, but he does a lot of cultural critiques. Like he critiques Caitlin Bennett a lot, and you know, Caitlin Bennett deserves all the critique she can get. But what drives me crazy is his critiques of her are so bad that I end up having to like argue against it, and it makes people think I'm arguing for Caitlin when I'm not. There's plenty of legitimate things to critique about her. But so he's not criticizing Caitlin here. He's criticizing this lady. I hope he says the name because I forget. It's this fitness, and I'm not familiar with her outside of the people who have been critiquing her. I'm not into, I like fitness, but I don't have time for it. And she's like super fundamentalist, which that's not my scene. So it's this Instagram influencer who was all into fitness. And I guess, your typical Instagram girl, like showing off her body, very fit, very blonde. And apparently she had a born again experience and has become a very evangelical Christian. So of course Jimmy has to say something about that because, people can't just have their religion in their lives, that he thinks that having an idea that maybe isn't the mainstream and talking to other adults is somehow like actual violence with how upset he gets about it. I don't agree with this lady's ideas. I come from that world, and the type of world it is, for those of you who aren't familiar as far as like culturally is, it's the typical evangelical. The woman should be the helpmeet of the man. The man is in charge of the relationship. Women should be very modest. The whole very American pie, typical evangelical Christianity. That's not my game. I don't agree with her. But I also remember from when I was in that life, I chose it. Nobody was forcing me. I wasn't frickin' oppressed. And I proved I wasn't oppressed by once it wasn't serving me anymore and I changed my mind, I got the hell out. But I had the choice to go into that lifestyle if I wanted to. What business is it of anyone? What kind of relationship in the world I want to have with my husband? if it be, we could be some wild swingers, or we could be some conservative evangelicals where I'm fine letting the man be in charge of the house. Whose that business is that? So we're going to get into this because, Jimmy fancies himself Mr. Feminist, and it's just so funny. I'll point some of this out, but I just want you to know right off front and hey, Julian, the background here. And I wanted to get out right up front that I do not agree with this lady. But, I'm not going to have like a cow over it. Let's go on.
Hey, I am technically a part of the patriarchy, and I'm trying to stop perpetuating it, and I am trying to... It's really discouraging when you still see people go from having a level of independence to basically turning in their life and going, where I feel freest, being controlled over very arbitrary things. And it's just discouraging to see. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to show you.
Okay. Let me just stamp this here. When you have hooded eyes, man, doing the wings is very difficult. Now, did anyone catch how utterly incoherent what he just said was? Hey, he's a man, so, he's part of the patriarchy, whatever the hell that is, and he's doing his part to make sure we dismantle the patriarchy. But damn it, there's some women who just won't go along and let me free them. Do you see there? He's being offended because some women feel more comfortable in different roles than he thinks they should have. Isn't that then being more patriarchal, Jimmy? If you're thinking you've got to dictate to women what they're comfortable with and what they're free with? Oh, great male savior. It's like, do you even listen to yourself? And see what YouTubers see. When I'm just walking around life and people say stupid shit, I'm like, we all say stupid shit. But when YouTubers say stupid shit, I'm like, you had to edit that film. You heard yourself saying that and chose to put it out there anyway. Let me tell you, when I do edited videos and not these live ones, half of what I say ends up on the cutting room floor because I'm like, oh no, that, Live stream, okay, I'm sure I say a bunch of stupid stuff. But if it's an edited video and I'm still saying stupid stuff, that's a level of unawareness that escapes me. Let's continue.
Because clearly, she is a victim of what she is now perpetuating. So I hold her accountable for the perpetuation still. You have to. You have to hold people accountable for their actions. But they are clearly a result of her being the victim of this kind of thing.
Okay. You see the smugness again? Let me just finish this eye here. Or at least one part of it. Okay. So yeah, she couldn't have just made a decision, because it's unfathomable to Jimmy that someone with a brain that isn't being victimized can choose something differently. Could choose the, help meet lifestyle. So she must be a victim. I'm like, screw you, guy. I used to be in the same position of this girl and I was nobody's victim. What smugness? Why don't you just mind your own business, Mr. Man? You want to talk about mansplaining? Oh my God.
She writes, this is a recent one. Yes, I'm a Christian and I struggle, stumble, make mistakes and am a mess, but I'm God's mess and he is the same God who turns a mess into a masterpiece. And this is the thing that Christianity does. It makes you think of yourself in negative terms and that you can only be good if you add this on top. So in the case she's using mess, a lot of times they talk about purity and being impure, even Amazing Grace. I was a wretch, was blind, which is not actually something you should consider. It's pretty ableist to associate that with just being a negative thing. Not to say, look, I don't want to be blind, but treating it like a bad character flaw is pretty rough.
Okay, that thing just made me laugh. You notice how he went, and I'm keeping my eyes shut because I need to dry that wing, how he went all woke, and he's like, oh, I'm so offended by Amazing Grace. I was blind, but now I see, and they're making blindness seem like something bad. And then you could tell he stopped, and it's like, What? It's not like I would want to be blind. Why, Jimmy? Because being blind is less than ideal? How ableist of you, Jimmy. So he's finding ableism in Amazing Grace, and then tries to claim, oh, but it's depicting blindness as a moral characteristic. No, it isn't, Jimmy. No, it isn't. It isn't that deep. It's just saying you can't see, and now you can see. Not being able to see is not a moral thing. It's a handicap. It's not a moral thing. Because at least in Christian, here's the thing. In Christian theology, it isn't as if you, whatever fallen human nature you have doesn't go away when you have faith. It just helps you overcome it. It helps you see the path forward. It's not saying that it's equivalent, it's making blindness equivalent to a moral failing. That is just like so ridiculous. Could you try harder to be offended? I mean, that was like, I think this is where I just started saying, okay, I'm done with all this woke stuff. When you're starting to say, because someone uses the very well-worn analogy of being blind to something and then seeing it and saying that is ableist, all I have to say, dude, is let me turn around and you can kiss my ass with that. Holy crap. It must be tiring to walk through life perpetually offended. Unreal. Now, Amazing Grace is ableist. What's the rest of that? It's been a long time. I'm sure there's let's figure out something else we can get offended with Amazing Grace. And the funny thing is, because the guy who wrote the song was talking about how he changed from being a slave trader. You know, of course, though, we have to be offended, at somebody turning their life around. Amazing Grace, the sweet the sound that saved a wretch. Oh, he don't like calling other people a wretch. But, it's people calling themselves that realize that they are in a bad place in life. And, most religions do tell you that you need God or something to be complete. That's just religion. You're offended at religion, fine. I found great strength in Christianity. Other people don't. I don't care. It's up to them. What's the rest of the lyrics? Blind, saved a wretch like me. I once was lost. I'm offended. He is, can we make some kind of class thing here? Lost, like runaways who are living on the street, homeless. Oh my God. Amazing Grace is against homeless and lost people. If you ever get lost anywhere, then you're just evil. You're evil. I'm offended. Okay, let's find something else to get offended about. Was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fear relieved. How beautiful that grace appeared the hour I first believed. I can't find anything. I'm sure a woke person could find something to get offended by there. I can't find anything. I'm really trying. But okay. At least we found one other thing to get offended about in Amazing Grace. Okay. So, I love this of Julian. Feminist, while telling women what they can't do. Exactly. People ask me why I don't consider myself a feminist, because I obviously am a very assertive woman. I obviously believe in the equality of the sexes. And the reason I don't consider myself a feminist, because feminism, like nearly everything else today, doesn't mean what it's supposed to mean. It just does. If all it meant was believing in, like they try to claim, the dictionary definition of the full social and political equality of women, which includes the choice to lay aside some of that equality if you want to, just like men can do that if they want to. There's some kept men out there, and that's good for them. So, yeah, I believe in that, but I don't believe in all the other shit that comes along with it. And I think egalitarian is a perfectly serviceable word. Because I don't believe in male supremacy, but I also don't believe in female supremacy. And unfortunately, that is what a lot of feminism is turning into. It's all about putting men down rather than raising women up. You don't have to put other people down to raise yourself up. If you have to do that, there's something wrong with you. You know, that means you're like really, really insecure. And most of the goals of feminism have been frickin' accomplished. I'm sorry. This is the problem with movements. And I said this in an interview the other day. I go, here's what I fear with some people and why I made the statement that I'm for the party because I'm for freedom. Unfortunately, there are some people, I'm just taking a look at the clock. What time is it? 6:04. There are some people who are for freedom because they're for the party. They got it backwards. And I had said we should be planning on our own obsolescence. When we've accomplished freedom, there's no need for a group fighting for freedom. But here's the problem with movements. They don't go away. They accomplish their goals and then they exist just to exist and perpetuate themselves. The goals, you're done. They're done. I'm sorry, they're done. Be offended at that. I don't care. They're done. And that whole movement should have gone away. We should just all be egalitarians, and when there are certain injustices, we address them. But we don't need a whole frickin' movement for them. And I've said this to people in my life, and you've even heard me complain against sexism sometimes. So there's sexism towards men too, by the way. But yeah, of course there's still sexism towards women because people will be jerks. Hello, you're never going to solve that. You call it out. And most of the time, most sexism that's out there is inadvertent. That the person don't even realize that's how they're coming across. And when you point it out to them politely, and not coming at them with pitchforks, they go, oh, I didn't realize it. And they change. It's done. Okay, I'm sorry, I keep just going on and on. Let's see. I think that might have been the last clip. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't think you should be making any comparisons to Jesus because you clearly are very much on the conservative side. And if you actually read a lot of Jesus's philosophies, that dude was socialist AF. What a socialist.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that clip now. And Jimmy, one second here. Let me just finish that part of the eye. We were all suspecting here that Jimmy didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And with that last statement, he just proved it. I would love to frickin' debate that guy as to whether Jesus was socialist AF. Importing anyone's political views onto religious figures is just fucked up to begin with. Don't do it. I'd be just as bothered if someone goes, Jesus was capitalist AF. No, Jesus was a religious figure. He was not socialist. He also wasn't laissez-faire capitalist. And I say the same thing with people trying to, Jesus was a libertarian. Listen, if you're a Christian, you believe Jesus was God. Stop trying to put him into human categories for your own political ends. That's just gross. So no, Jesus was not socialist. Let me finish this wing here. Okay. Let that dry. That is, in fact, the last clip. So let me just check comments here, and I'm getting ready for did I just smear that a little bit? For the show with Fight for Liberty. All righty. Okay, yeah, and I agree with you, Maria. I love men too, and I love men who are men. Like, I don't care. If you want to be a man and be very non-gender, non-conforming, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that either. But what's being demonized today is like your typical manly man. And I'm sorry, I love typically manly men. My husband is a manly man. When shit needs being done, that's work. I do not hesitate. He fixes shit. He does mechanical shit. I love it. He's an outdoor man. Not saying every man needs to be that way, but that's the type of man who's being demonized. And I love those kind of men. But all right, I'm sorry, this hurt. Woo! If you're all cringing while I'm pulling that off, it's like pulling a Band-Aid off a wound. All right, everyone, I hope you have a good night. Maybe go try to find where Fight for Liberty is being broadcast. And I am doing a LP time capsule tonight. So I'll be sending out that scheduling notice. Love you all. I talked too much, didn't get my makeup done. I gotta hurry. Okay. Bye-bye. And I hope you have an awesome night. I'm going to cycle through here, though, because I just forgot I have a couple other things. I'm going to blabber on. Okay, what should be up on the screen right now is my patrons. Look at that. I am like so encouraged that for a while there, I really wasn't getting support. And I have to tell you, I was just considering stopping. If you had any idea of how I have to squeeze these things in order to try to make a go of this, to do this liberty education, it's really, really hard. And I was getting discouraged. And then I started getting patrons. And oh my goodness, I can't even tell you how grateful I am. If any of you can afford it, if you can't, this isn't a guilt trip. Because listen, I'm not able to pay my mortgage right now. So believe me, no shame here, no shame in my game or your game. But if you can, even for as little as $1 a month, please become a patron. It really does encourage me. And look at who's on my list. I got Tom Woods and Stefan Kinsella. I couldn't be prouder. And for patrons only, we are on Patreon going through Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail 1972. It's a great addition to the LP time capsule we're doing because we're really learning a lot about the political situation in that day. Okay, now I'm going, everyone. Bye-bye. Love you.
You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in the business, not because they want to do it.
Viva! Let's hear the opposition side. Like a stubborn donkey's bray, all opposed? You say nay, opposed! Opposed! The motion carries anyway.